Most of all, we can say thank you. We can say we appreciate you. And we're grateful for the work that you do each and every day.
President Obama earlier today speaking at a National Peace Officers Memorial Service outside of the Capitol. Now, the president, he paid homage to police officers at a time where we're seeing rising tensions between police and communities in the wake of Ferguson and Baltimore, let alone South Carolina and many other places. Well, a short time ago today, I spoke to David Chong. He's the Public Safety Commissioner for the city of White Plains. You heard what Commissioner Bratton had to say. He said you'd have to go back to the 60s or 70s to see the level of anti-police sentiment that he finds today. Do you echo that sentiment that what's out there right now we haven't seen in a long time in terms of the reaction, particularly in certain communities towards police?
Yes, I do. It's a difficult time for police right now. We are under the microscope. I think partly to do with that is the availability of so quickly being able to send something out through social media. Back when I first became a police officer in 1980, we had an ability to respond to things, and it was a good 8 hours. If at all, we could respond and we could give our side of the story. Right now, it's very difficult with mass media. People can doctor things, they can send things out, through different channels, and a lot of times people get carried away and they get caught up in the emotions and don't allow us to explain ourselves or our actions.
High-profile cases, whether it be the Ridley or the Chamberlain case, would they have to be handled differently now?
I believe that now, in today's day and age, transparency is really, really important, and you really have to get in front of the story before people start to imagine things or think things. And quite honestly, there are a lot of provocateurs out there now. It seems to be more than ever. Anti-police provocateurs out there that are just waiting for an incident to happen and to be able to, quite honestly, try to impress upon the community that something's wrong. I happened to be Christopher Ridley's police commissioner in Mount Vernon when Christopher Ridley lost his life. And I actually was the commissioner in White Plains during the Chamberlain case, but I can't discuss those cases. But I will tell you that in today's day of age, I think it's very important for law enforcement to get out in front, be as transparent as possible. In White Plains, I've got a mayor and I've got a city council that has just agreed to put body cameras on all of our police officers.
That's what I was going to ask you next. Before you talk about why, could you have imagined, even if the technology was available 10 years ago, selling that to your department and they would have been agreeable to it? I mean, talk about just using a 5, 10 year, whatever time period you think would be a good one, to talk about how much of a genesis where now you have police that are not only willing but looking forward to it. So there's a documentation, not just in the squad car with the dash cam video, but a body cam right on the uniform.
When I first became a police officer, it was something that was strange to us. I remember quite clearly not being very happy about having dashboard cameras, thinking that, everybody is watching what I'm doing and second guessing of what I'm doing and everything else. But, in today's society, we're hiring young officers that are very, very familiar with technology. In my day, it was a picture tells 1,000 stories. Now, that's not necessarily true. Mm-hmm. You can actually take a video, and if you're, technically savvy, you can put it out on social media and you can doctor it. The one good thing about police body cameras is we can't doctor that video. That video is evidentiary, and once it's recorded, and it goes into a cloud, and only certain people can access it, but we can never doctor it. And I think the police officers realize that it's for their benefit.
Is it fair to say, for whatever reason, that there is different treatment if you're black than if you're white right now in this country? I know it's different in different places. It's an overarching question. But is it a legitimate question if you go to certain communities that are in your jurisdiction and they say, hey, Commissioner, you know what? I'm a black guy. I get treated different than that guy if you pointed at me. What would the answer be?
Well, the answer would be, and you know, it's not a simple answer, okay? The answer would be, you know, maybe you do because there's more officers in a community where the crime rate is higher. If a large number of my department is assigned to large areas where there is upticks in crime and everything, it's just natural the engagements will be more in those areas. Now, that's not saying we're targeting people. What we're doing is we're targeting crime. And I've gone to communities that have absolutely, in my time in the NYPD during the 1980s and the early 90s, that were absolutely under siege. And these folks were crying for help. And they wanted to see police officers out there. And they wanted to see police officers take action out there. And so it's a partnership. And, you know, if there is a double standard, that's got to fall on my shoulders. It's got to fall on leadership of the department. I have to look at my numbers and I have to question my commanders all the time because I will not tolerate a double standard. But I also not tolerate crime in neighborhoods that are spiking.
It seems, whether it's new technology or the climate that we're in right now, given the high profile, just a little flicker could set off a major fire in terms of the tensions in so many cities in this country, and even in rural communities as well, let alone suburban. Is that an accurate representation of what's out there right now, that it could be a tinderbox given the frustrations, especially in the last year, that have built up over different, you know, datelines and different stories?
Well, yes, because of all the news coverage and everything on these different incidents. And, you know, I have my own opinions about all these different incidents. But it's a very difficult time for policing right now. Law enforcement has always been a partnership. The police officer is no good without the residents respecting them and working with them. But if the residents don't trust the police, then that's a problem. And so we have to, you know, do our very best. People like myself have to do our very best to try to bridge that gap.
And you can catch the entire interview with David Chong on our YouTube page. Just search for Richard French Live. And coming up next, everyone, we switch gears. The latest fire at Indian Point is raising some pointed questions about safety at the nuclear power plant. We will talk to a VP at Entergy and ask him how the company is dealing with this latest problem.